All right. Hello, Council Member Ben Kallos. Thanks for joining us on Life Before the Virus.
Thank you for having me.
So you're the council member on the Upper East Side and you cover Roosevelt Island, and I'd love to hear how it's going in your district.
So I think the pandemic is tough on everybody, from our healthcare workers and first responders who are on the front lines to essential workers, our building service workers. Today is actually a holiday right here in New York City, Building Service Worker Appreciation Day. Actually, in our building, we put in some extra bonuses for our workers to thank them for coming in each and every day to keep our buildings running. And parents are dealing with the challenge of parenting through the pandemic. And I'm sure you can overhear my lovely daughter. She's amazing. And here in the district, I've just been focused on saving lives, from Roosevelt Island to East Harlem down to East Midtown.
So how have your priorities changed now during this pandemic versus what you were doing before?
I would say we have a whole new set of priorities. Before the pandemic, we were focused on getting rid of corruption in government. We were focused on cleaning up elections and getting big money out and real estate money out. We were focused on getting rid of the scaffold and sidewalk sheds that blanket our city. We were focused on getting people access to retirements. We were doing a lot of big policy pieces, but ever since the pandemic started, I've only had 4 focuses, and that's been testing, getting access to testing so that everyone can have a test. I didn't care what anyone's saying from the president on down. We need testing, we always did, and everyone needed access to testing. Number 2 is access to PPEs so that everyone had masks and whatever they needed so that they could be outdoors safely and even treat people safely, making sure we had enough beds and ventilators. We were able to actually get enough beds, and we're in a situation where we're able to bid the the USNS Comfort adieu. We just closed Javits as a hospital. And actually on Roosevelt Island in my district, we have Kohler Hospital where we opened 350 beds to treat people in the district. And then we also opened 200 beds at Hospital for Special Surgery while there was a ban on elective surgeries. That ban has been lifted, and now Hospital for Special Surgery is back up and running. And whether you're a New York Football Giant or you need a hip replaced, I recommend any of the institutions in my district, and HSS really did a lot for this pandemic, so they deserve to be your first choice. So we definitely got those beds, those 550 beds. We worked on connecting several dozen people with PPEs and other materials to the city. We even got so many PPEs that we had some that weren't sterile that they couldn't use in the hospital. So we ended up giving them back out. We had 6,000 that we were able to hand out to people who are homeless in the district. We partnered with Project Hope, and we also partnered with Jan Hus in the district. And then on the testing, I'm very lucky. I represent some of the best medical institutions in the world. I represent Weill Cornell Medical Center. And we were in talks with some of the doctors who said, you know what, we have some technology we can use for detecting genetic profiles. And so they said, why don't we just use what we currently use to test for the coronavirus? So we have a test. It could test hundreds of thousands of people a day. And it could be done in a matter of minutes. I think we're looking at half an hour to test it. They can do 100 people at a time. So we're talking, and so it would just be amazing if we can get it done. We're submitting and waiting for FDA approval, but like, it's kind of amazing to be able to get to do all these kinds of things and not necessarily anything near what I used to do before.
That's awesome. So wait, more on this testing, 100 people at a time. So what does that entail?
So the person is Dr. Chris Mason. And the reason I know him is because before the pandemic, we used to go and swab the subways every single year and see what kind of little critters you might find in terms of biological organisms on the subway. You may have read once upon a time that they found something that had a genetic profile similar to bubonic plague. but we've been doing it since then and just looking at it. And so we can use that same technology. So it's a lamp chemical test. They can swab, and then they dip it in a chemical. They heat that chemical to 65 degrees, and it either turns yellow or red, very similar to one of the pregnancy tests of old. And it can detect whether or not there's coronavirus present. And so the idea is, with that test being able to test so many hundred people at a time, we could set them up anywhere. And we could be in a city where you get swabbed on the way to a subway. In the subway, you're on the way in. As you get out of the subway, a text message arrives, tells you whether or not you're positive. And worst case scenario, you see it and you say, you know what, I have to turn around and go home. But that is how much we could do, how many people we could do, and that would be amazing.
That certainly sounds amazing. So when will you find out about that?
We are working every day.
Really
Every day we're working with our Congressmember Carolyn Maloney on making sure we get that FDA approval.
That's awesome, Ben. And I see on your social media pages, and I've been following you along, and it seems like you're really out there in the community. And additionally, you host a number of very well-attended town hall meetings with a bunch of other elected officials. And it's great to see a lot of the collaboration that you're hosting.
We are an amazing team on the Upper East Side. We have amazing district leaders like you. We have Congressmember Carol Maloney, who leads our district, leads our nation. She's actually the first woman to chair the Oversight Committee, and she'll be doing oversight over all these trillions of dollars that are being handed out. And we've been working with her. And actually, she's going to be a featured panelist on May 12th on a forum just on how we can help small businesses with Greg Bishop. And I hope you folks will join and attend. And also, she has a primary. It's going to be on Tuesday, June 23rd. And I'm hoping that everyone who is watching your show is willing to go vote for our Congressmember, Carolyn Maloney. Tuesday, June 23rd, they can request an absentee ballot. I was fighting with the Board of Elections, and thanks to district leaders like you and others, we got them to have a digital application. So you can apply for an absentee ballot, nycabsentee.com, and you can get it and vote for Congressmember Carolyn Maloney. And we've been doing town halls. We had one with Commissioner Barbeau, where she gave a lot of the different answers about when things might open. If you're curious, go watch that town hall from last month. And then we also, since before the pandemic, we do something called First Friday. And First Friday every month, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. for as long as I'm an elected official. You'll get to come in, talk to me about whatever you want. And who knows, it could be the new block of cheese day.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ben. And lastly, you recently were successful in opening East End Avenue for social distancing. Tell us about that project.
We all live in these itty bitty Manhattan apartments, and it's been tough for people to stay home this time. It's the right thing to do. Those who have been staying home are heroes, but the weather is nice outside. People want to go out. And one of the concerns that I heard at First Friday is you can't even walk on the streets without people violating your social distance. And a lot of people who should be wearing masks aren't. Anyone who's watching, please wear a mask. It's not just for you, it's for the other people. You might be carrying it, you might not know it, and you could be saving lives. So please wear that mask. And we don't have enough park space on the Upper East Side. Actually, there's less park space per capita than almost anywhere else in the city of New York. And so we need to create more spaces. So almost as soon as we started sheltering in place, I was in talks with Speaker Corey Johnson and Mayor de Blasio saying, let's close East End. Let's close East End. We already do it every year with the Carl Schurz Park Conservancy for their art show. Let's do it again. And so we were actually out there on Monday. It was the first 7 miles that were opened. It's from 83rd to 89th, 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can bring your kids out there. They can go around, and since our playgrounds are closed and there's not much space in the parks, it creates a very valuable amount of space for folks to use and share. And I'm hoping that viewers who are watching might have ideas on other locations that we can do this. And whether it's Park Avenue or other cross streets, let us know. And let's close more streets down so that we have safe spaces to social distance outside.
Thank you, Ben, for everything that you do in the district and for all of the city. Thanks for being a leader and for taking the time to join me.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all that you do as a district leader. I think you are the only district leader I know of who has a show like this. And thank you for helping get the absentee ballots online. And just please remember to vote on Tuesday, June 23rd. Congressmember Carolyn Maloney will be on the ballot, as will many others. And let's get her and many others reelected, and let's go out and vote.
Great.